Hello, hello, welcome. Happy Wednesday. Welcome to Stamping A to Z. It is my weekly series that I do live on my Facebook page. I have been away the last 2 weeks. I was lucky enough to make it to Hawaii. It was a great warm break, and now today we are at minus 35 here in Edmonton. So, you know, it's all payback for getting some warmth, but that's all good. Hopefully you guys had a great couple weeks. I missed doing my lives. I'm happy to be back in my craft room. All happy places. I can't complain. I just wanted to remind you that this week is the last week of celebration. So this little mini catalog, and they had added some extra items that you can get for free as well. So, you know, some of you who like to spend lots, like me, you might have all the things you wanted out of this. So now there's more, and a lot of these are all currently available to purchase. So they're actually, you can get them for free just till the end of February, which is kind of nice if they're on your list. So keep that in mind. Also, it is also the last chance to take advantage of the starter kit. So if you join my team before the end of February, you get to take advantage of the deal that's on for celebration. And that is, they have 3 options for celebration. The first option is the usual starter kit. So the normal starter kit, you would spend, it's $135. You would be able to choose $165 worth of product. If you live in Alberta, there's no tax, no shipping. If you live in other provinces, there will be whatever tax is on top, like minus the GST tax. So, and you won't have shipping. So it's just a small portion of the tax that you would pay on that. So it's a really good deal. But for celebration, instead of the $165, you get to choose $225 worth of products. So you get a whole lot extra for that same $135. The other 2 options that they're offering right now is they have this really cute special color limited edition boho blue. It's the mini cut and emboss machine, so not the big one, but the little one. It's worth $86. So if you join before the end of February, you would pay $175 instead of the $135. You would get the machine plus the $225 worth of products. If you don't like the boho blue, the white is your third option. So it's the same deal. The $175, you would get the white mini machine and your $225 worth of products. So great deal. Don't miss out. If you have a large list of items that you would like, this is a great way to get those things. And then once you join, you get a discount on top of that in whatever you purchase in the future. So great way to do it. Also, if you join right now, they have an exclusive online release pre-order for demonstrators. So you'd be able to order from that as well. So yeah, keep that in mind. So today I'm going to be doing some layering. Hello, Yolande. Layering of decorative masks. We have 2 sets of masks in our catalogs right now, one in the annual catalog, one in the mini catalog that is around till the end of April. And I came up with some new techniques on ways to use them. There's lots of ways to use them. You can always go back in my YouTube channel or on my Facebook page. My YouTube channel doesn't have all of the stuff. I really need to download the rest of it. But on my Facebook page, it's got all of the episodes. So all 110 episodes, and you can go back and look at other decorative mask techniques. Hopefully today, these are all new ones for you. So I will get you flipped around and we'll get started right away. Okay. There we go. Yeah, I think it's a slap in the face to be minus 35 after being in plus 37 or 27. Sorry, not 37. I don't like extreme heat. Plus 27 is plenty for me, even a little too much. Unless I'm close to water, then I'm good. Okay, so all right, just pulling this up, make sure. See, I can see comments on my phone. Oh, there they are. Okay, good. We are good to go. So this is the mini catalog. These are the decorative masks that are currently in the mini. They are meant to be layered, but there's even more layering you can do, which I will show you, because I'm not going to show you basic stencil mask stuff today because we've already done that and it's pretty self-explanatory. Or you can go back, if you're a beginner, go back and see how to start. There's these layers as well in the annual catalog. They're called the Artistic Mix Decorative Masks, and they are actually made to be layered as well, which is kind of cool. So there's the label pieces, and then these two pieces, I don't know if you can see that, they actually layer to make kind of a cool design. And then you've got the two kind of grids, and you can make all sorts of gingham patterns with those. I'm going to play with these ones mostly today. I did pull out one of the other ones to add to this so you can see how you can get creative with the layering. So first, I will show you. So these are the masks that are in the one in the mini, the Loveliest layers. So there's this flower. So obviously these flowers layer on top of one another, not like that, like so. And then, so you can, like, they fit right on top of each other to make it easier. You can line it, if your paper is this size, you can line it up. Same with the leaves. Now this one, it doesn't quite line up, like they don't actually touch. So this is my example, which I'm not doing today because it's just basic layering. So this one, let's see, I don't know which way I did this. Nope. Oh, maybe I had it this way. Yep. So you got to make sure you have them on the right sides. One side is kind of more matte and the other side is more glossy. I usually use the glossy side up when I'm blending, but for some reason I used the masked side because I feel like it stays down better. So basic masking, and then I did the lighter blue, which is probably the Orchid Oasis. And then when you add this one, if you're not sure, you could always add it on top, but it makes it harder to blend. So I would just kind of line it up. You just, like your circle, you can tell where it goes. Or like I said, if you have a piece of paper that's the same size, that makes it easier as well. And then you would just take your blender brush and go through and blend it all in, and then you get that layered look. So that's the basic idea of the masks. Then we've got this piece, which you can get really creative with. I'm going to start with that one. So first off, I'm going to point out, so you can do a basic, actually if I pull out, they actually show quite a few in the catalog. Catalog is a great place for examples. So you can do all one way, and then you turn it 90 degrees, and then you get this kind of grid pattern. You can use it with embossing paste, which I have shown before, but you can also turn it even in more ways and create more different patterns. You can go and do one color and then move it over and get a second color, or you could keep it all the same color. If you just want horizontal lines, you could do the same thing vertically if you want to stack them, or you could stack them this way vertically if you wanted them to go that way. This one is a square that you can create. So if you were to have it this way, and then you would just turn it so that the same lines line up. Then you get your cubes. And then this one is just, again, you would have it one way and then you would turn it, but this time you're going on top of the first set of lines and you would go across. And here, so you could make all sorts of pattern paper by layering just this one stencil and then maybe adding hearts or adding whatever you want. If you have the other set of stencils that are in the annual catalog, there are these grids, there's the ones that I showed you. So I'm going to use this grid with this to create a whole new look. So first we're just going to take our piece of paper, we're going to move our flowers out of the way. We don't want those. You need to go through the catalogs. Sorry, I was trying to read your comment there and it added some weird stuff in there. Okay, gotta go through the catalogs. Yes, and if you have any questions, let me know. I am around. Okay, so I'm gonna start. How am I gonna start? I'm gonna start with this one so that I get a nice, I want the white grid lines kind of as my background, and I want some squares here that I'm gonna start with. So I'm gonna start with my lightest color, which is So Saffron, and I'm just gonna take my blender brush and I'm gonna come in here. And now, so those of you who've used this stuff before, you know that with our masks, you can use them with our inks. You can use them with the embossing paste, which would give you the raised look. I have a whole video on that. And this is just a couple more different ways that you can use the masks. So you can make your products go further and have more fun. Because, you know, now it's a bit uneven, which I don't mind, but I think I'm gonna have it darker in the center and then lighten as it goes out. But I don't want to bore you and spend too much time on here. You can spend as much time as you want kind of fussing with it until it's the way you want it. So now I have this nice grid pattern. Then I'm going to take this pattern and I'm going to, so you could, now you can see it doesn't fit in the boxes exactly. So you're not going to be able to line it up in the boxes. Believe me, I tried. I had this idea that I was going to put it in the boxes and yeah, it didn't work. Anyways, I do want it somewhat inside boxes. So we'll go like that maybe. I want it to kind of even on either side. So I've got 2 bars here, I've got a bit off here, a bit off here, and 2 bars up here. So to me, that should be even within the grids. And then I'm going to use Pale Papaya. So just slightly darker, different. You want to have well inked ink pads when you're doing the blender brushes if you want to make it as easy as possible on yourself. Since I was playing with these, I find it can really pick up the ink, so I haven't re-inked them. So it's a good idea probably to re-ink them after you've done some blender brushing. Okay, so that's my next color. Ta-da! Then I'm going, so I was like this. Now I'm going to just turn it 90 degrees. And once again, I want to have it even on both sides. So a bit off and a bit off and a bit and a bit. We call that even. And then I'm going to take Blushing Bride as my third color. And I'm going to come in. And since I'm going from lightest to darkest, I'm not wiping my stencil in between. I'm not too worried. It could kind of mix the pink with the orange and give you a slightly different color. So if you are really set on having your true colors come out, you might want to wipe your stencil in between colors. A baby wipe or a wet cloth, microfiber cloth, whatever, or even the chamois works well. You just might want to take, if it's really wet, you might want to take it off your paper so it doesn't wet your paper too much. Okay, there we go. So it just adds a bit more than just having the set, like just this one that going both ways. It has that extra grid in the background. So it just adds a bit more texture and interest. So you can see, if you get really creative, you can take all of your stencils and layer them in different ways. You could go diagonal. I mean, the possibilities are endless. But you can keep going. So then this is kind of my background. And then what I did was I took the milkshake bundle, which is in our mini catalog. This one, the Share a Milkshake. And I decided to add on to this. So first I cut this out with the deckled rectangles, which I haven't done. Just pretend I did it. Then the milkshake has the stamps and it has the die cuts. So I just wanted to die cut this glass out, but before I do that, oops, it's already out. I wanted to add this extra design to make it show as a glass, but I didn't want it to be super dark. So I just wanted it subtle. So a great way to have just subtle color on color is to use your Versamark. And you just ink up, stamp it down, and then as it dries, it takes on the color of your paper. So it's very subtle, but the design is still there. So then we cut that out and we have our glass. Then I stamped on some Blushing Bride, coming in with the colors that I used in there. I stamped the little frothy part. I used I don't even think we have it anymore. It's an iridescent ice embossing powder. And the nice thing with this die is it cuts out this little scoop here. So you can add the spoon, you can add the cherry, you can add a straw. So here I've got the straw cut out. There's a die cut for it, and a stamp. So I stamped that in the pale papaya. And then I've got my straw. And then I'm not sure where I seem to have lost my cherry. Oh well. And then I've got these two labels. These two labels are from the Fancy Flora suite. So this is the Something Fancy dies. There's a bunch where there's two, so you can layer them, which is really nice. And this one just happened to fit Life is Sweeter with You. So then the finished card becomes this one. So you end up with just that nice background using your masks, and then so you could make a bunch of backgrounds with all sorts of colors and just mix and match, and then pull out whatever afterwards and decide what you want to put on top. But it's great. It's fun if you're just playing with the masks to make backgrounds. Okay, so that is card number 1. Cute, right? Yeah. Okay, next, which one will I do next? This one. Okay, I'm not sure. I feel like maybe I have done this before, but hopefully it's not a repeat. Okay, I've got my piece of white again. This time I'm going to be using the flowers. So I'm going to start with the flower. We'll do the leaves later. And I start with the big one. So I'm just going to center it. I know I'm going to cut the edges off after anyway, so I'm not too worried about going off the edges. If you wanted to keep this as a nice white background, you could use the masking paper. You could use, this is just Post-it tape. You could cover it, or you could use Post-it notes and cover wherever you're brushing, or you can use our new little blender brushes, and it makes it a lot easier to stay within those lines and not go over the lines by accident. Where did my stamp pads go? I don't want these. Okay, oh, here they are. No, that's not them. I want this one. What the heck? I'm losing my mind. Okay, here we go. Now we're cooking. Okay, I've got Blushing Bride and Polished Pink as my flower. So I'm going to start with the lighter color. And I'm just going to, if you want, you can kind of take the idea of darker in the middle and then go out so that it's lighter as you go out. But I still want it to be completely colored. Okay, so that's the first layer. So, like I said, if you're having troubles, you could layer this right on top, but it is easier if you take this off. I love taking masks off. Do you guys love taking masks off? Either whether you mask it with your own tape or you're using a mask, there's just something so satisfying about pulling it off and seeing the shapes and I don't know, there's just something about it. Okay, so it's pretty lined up. And then we're going to take our Polished Pink. Looks like I have a dark pink brush on the go here. I'm just going to come in with the Polished. So if you are interested in joining, and you will get a sneak peek at what's to come in March for customers, some of our colors that were, I'm guessing they were in colors before, are returning, and some of them are my favorite colors, so I'm so happy they're returning. All right, ready? The reveal. Ta-da. Okay, so see, this is kind of an example where if you don't clean in between, it mixes and maybe it's not as, kind of starts looking brownish. I'm not sure what color I had on there before. Anyways, it's good to wipe them in between if you don't want. It's still good. Okay, and so you can see I didn't protect it, but I'm going to be cutting it out. So that's okay. Oh, crap. Pardon my language. Okay, sorry, I forgot. So I'm going to wipe this because I'm going to come back over. Now, I usually wipe both sides. Probably it's not as big a deal with a lighter color like this, but sometimes the ink gets underneath and in the grooves and stuff. I'm going to put it back on, line it up, And then I'm going to take my Versamark. This is a grungy old Versamark that I don't mind if it gets ink and colored up. You don't want to use a nice clean Versamark for this. And you could, if you have a designated blender brush, you could use a brush for this. I'm just going to drag my Versamark over top. And if you tilt it in the light just so, you can see if it's on everywhere, and it looks like it is. And then I'm going to cover that before I take out my powder, because powder will stick to everything. And I've got the clear embossing powder that obviously has other colors mixed into it, not on purpose. Okay, so I've got, looks like there's a bit of extra there, but that's okay. And then we're just going to heat this up. You can see when it starts turning glossy that it's melted. And I don't know what I thought embossing powder was. I did hear someone say the other day that it is plastic that is ground up very fine. And then when the heat hits it, it melts and melts into each other, which makes sense. I just never really thought about it that hard. Okay, so I've got my flower all glossy. You want to just let it cool before we go on to the next step, otherwise it might smudge, but it does cool pretty fast, so it's cool enough that it's not going to smudge. Then I'm going to take my leaves, and like I said, so I know it's the wrong way, because if I pretty much line it up in the same place, it should line up for you. And like you saw in my first sample, the leaves do not touch the flower. You could shift both ways to have it touch, but since there's space in the flower, it makes sense to have that same space in the leaves. It's just kind of part of the design. So then I'm going to take, this one is Granny Apple Green. And we're going to get the leaf here. Okay. Then take that off. And I'm going to wipe it just so that I don't forget, because this is the one we're going to use the Versamark with. Okay. And then we need our smaller, our detail leaf here. Maybe that's slightly off. Maybe not. No, it's good apparently. Should just stick with the first time. Okay. And then we need a darker green. So here I've got a pair of Pizzazz. For our detail, and then voila. So then we've got the leaves, and we're going to do the same thing that we did before with the Versamark, only we're going to use the larger leaf design this time. And you can see why I did it 2 separate times, because they're 2 separate masks. And then we're just gonna ink it up. Check. Looks good. Take that off. Close that up. Take the powder. Okay, then we heat it up again. And then comes the really fun part. So you're probably like, why are you doing all this? This is to create the fun part. So we're going to do some emboss resist technique here. And you can see you don't need stamps in order to do the emboss resist. You can do it with masks. Okay, so I don't know if you can see that, but everything is now, oh, I didn't. So if you do that and you get a fingerprint, I don't know if you can see that, you can melt it out again. And there, it's like it never happened. How nice. Okay, let it cool enough so you don't get a fingerprint. And then we're going to take Starry Sky, and I'm going to have a dark background instead of a white background. This looks good in white, but I think it'll pop even more in dark. You could use black, you can use dark blue, you can use whatever. You can drag it across if you really wanted to, if you don't have any blender brushes. I'm going to take my brush and I'm just going to start going over top. And you know, yes, I know the flower looks messy right now, but you wipe it afterwards and all that yuckiness disappears. So you can, once again, I'm not going to keep going to get it super dark because you get the gist, and you can do yours as dark or as light as you want. So obviously I'd keep going until it's got a nice even look. You could also, if you want it really dark, if that's your goal, kind of do the old drag. This reminds me of, I have a dress, a Hawaiian dress that's this color. The flowers are purple, but whew, after I designed the card, I was like, oh, I should have made it just like my dress. And then, so this is just a wet wipe. You can use just a Kleenex, but since I really went in there and got in the grooves by rubbing it, I'm just going to see, you can see I missed, and I didn't, I wasn't too careful when I was doing the powder. You might want to be more careful than me, just so you get a cleaner look, but isn't that cool? So then I added this Thanks, which is from the, it is from the Amazing Thanks dies, which is in the annual catalog. So it has kind of the background, and then it has the front stamp. So I cut that out in Starry Sky, and then the finished card looks like so. So there it is finished. I added some of the milky white dots, which are in the mini catalog. They are Enamel Dot Essentials. I thought that looked good with that. So yeah, so you can, and then I think I spritzed it actually. So you, if you wanted to have it a little bit more rustic, you can add some spritz to your background. You can use, let's see what I have here. This is alcohol. You just want water really, but you can also use, so here's some water. You can also use Wink of Stella, and you can kind of like you do with the markers, where you kind of give it, ooh, that's a lot of water. But as you can see, as it dries, it gives you kind of that splattered look. So there you go. That is the next one. The last one is really cool. I'm using the flowers again, just because they're so much fun to play with. I'm going to start with this again, but this time, oh yes, okay. So we have to do it first. Let's make sure this is clean. It's full of Versamark. A little bit sticky. Okay, so this time I've got the glossy side and then I've got the matte side. I'm going to go onto the matte side and I'm going to take, I didn't know where my brayer was. I found the old sponge brayers that Stampin' Up! Always had. I'm going to clean this off because I can see the ink. And as a sneak peek, a hint, or maybe not a hint. So one of the colors that is coming back is my all-time favorite, Pretty Peacock. I don't know if it's back like for permanent reasons or, oh, perfect. Well, now you'll know how to use them. Yeah, so that I feel like this retired last year or the year before, but it is one of my favorite colors and it is coming back. For how long, I don't know. Keep your eyes open. It will be out March 1st for those of you who are not demonstrators. If you sign up with the startup kit, you will see it right away. Okay, so I'm taking the brayer and I'm inking up the back, so the matte part of the mask. And I'm just gonna, so you can use, this brayer is not the best for on plastic, but it'll do the job. Okay. Then what you say? Okay. Then I'm going to take this and I'm going to put it down onto my cardstock as I shake it down. Shaky hands. Okay. So you want to pass it through your cut and emboss machine to get a good impression. But at the same time, not only are we going to get a good impression of that background, so this is kind of the opposite of what we did with the embossing powder. This is another way to get the colored background around it. So here, I want it to also get an impression. So I'm putting the embossing mat, which is from the other machine, because the one for this machine never, for some reason they gave up on it. They were having troubles. So it is not available, but you can kind of do the same thing if you have foam or some kind of soft something. You can make it work. You just have to play with it to get the right sandwich to be tight enough and like just have that little bit of softness that it can make an impression. And I'm just gonna check and see if it's dark enough. I might wanna, I think I will do it again. So I'm just gonna take this, move this big, too bad it doesn't fit in the mini. The mini is a lot easier. Okay, and then I'm just gonna lift this up like so. And I'm gonna bring back my little silicone sheet. Woo! Put it underneath here. And take our brayer and our ink pad. And we'll come back. Try and get more ink on. Okay, and then we will stick it back down. If we can, I'm gonna make sure it's lined up properly as best we can. And then we're gonna put back our sandwich, run it through again. Okay. And then we will do the ta-da. A second here. It's so many things on the go. Okay, ready? Ta-da! Okay, so obviously the leaves are going to be on top of your background since you can only do one, but that's okay. So I'm going to wipe the back of this just so I might have to get a new wipe when I put it down in case it moves. It doesn't color my flower in the wrong place. Okay. Okay, so we've got our flower, and then I don't know if you can see, it actually is embossed through. So it is raised up like that. So then when you want to actually color the flower, you can come back in and color the flower. You could do this the opposite way, I suppose. It doesn't really matter that much. So this time I've got Petal Pink and Calypso Coral. I think this was supposed to be Petal Pink at one point. Okay, and then so my lighter one obviously is going to be in the background. So I hope this is giving you new ideas of things you can do with maybe masks that you already have. There was another mask like this not too long ago that layered. Okay, so now this is where it comes in handy to layer them on top of each other. Just because it's a little harder with the embossed part, but it is doable. So I will it actually might even sit in here better. Oopsie. I have this upside down, that's why. Glossy side up. Okay, so then you want to make sure that blue is all covered. And then I'm going to come in with the Calypso Coral. Pretty. And then when you go to do the leaves, you're going to want to make sure that it's dark enough to cover the blue. So we'll take our leaves here. See, if you color the background first, it makes it really easy to line up these templates because you have a perfect rectangle as to where to line it up. So that actually helps. If makes a difference. Where did my green? My green, where are you? Okay, we will use Granny Apple again. And cover up that blue. Okay. It might actually be in your favor to use the smaller blending brushes because it does get into the little grooves better. Just depends how picky you are. And then if we line this one up, and we will come in with our pear pizzazz, add some pizzazz. There we go, maybe there's not quite enough over here. Okay, there we go. Oops, I shoved it so hard it kind of went underneath, but that's okay. All right, so that is another way of not only getting a background behind the flower, but now you also have a raised flower. Your leaves are flat, but you could run it back through with the leaves the same way that we did the flower if you really wanted to, but I kind of like just the one part. And then this is the end result. So the For You is from the Love For You dies, which is in the mini catalog. I did the For You. And then Friend came from this cute Best Family Ever. To me, it is the perfect stamp set. It has every family member you could want on a card. So I liked that it had Friend there. It's not specific since I wasn't making it for anyone specific. And let me find all the cards so you can see them once more. Okay. So there's that one, and here's just the simple. So simple is beautiful too. It just depends if you want something new and flavorful in your life. So hopefully that gave you some ideas on what you can do with your decorative masks. I'm sure, Yolande, you could probably come up with a whole new array of things you could do with your jelly plate stuff. I know we've talked about having you on as a guest. Maybe that could be something that we add to the mask. Or maybe you have your own ideas. Anyways, we will have to talk about that. Hopefully you enjoyed it today after 2 weeks of no shows. I will be back next week for sure, barring anything happening. Hopefully everything's good. So hopefully I'm not frozen. Hopefully nobody else is frozen. It is supposed to warm up right away, so hopefully it's only just a couple cold days. I know the doggies are hoping that it warms up soon because we didn't go for a walk today. Glad you liked it. You're welcome. Thanks for watching and have a great rest of your week, and hopefully we'll see you next week. All right, bye.